On September 11, 2001, 4 planes were hijacked by terrorists. 2 planes struck the Twin Towers located in New York City, a third struck the Pentagon, and a fourth crashed in a field in Pennsylvania. The terrorists were funded by Al-Qaeda terrorist organization of Saudi fugitive Osama bin Laden. 3,000 people were killed during the terror attacks. The culture of the United States succeeding the attacks was noted for the heightened security and an increased demand of security, as well as paranoia and anxiety regarding future terrorist attacks. The September 11 attacks gained an iconographic meaning. This was due to the fact that the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City were portrayed as symbolic buildings representing American financial power, and the Pentagon was portrayed as a symbolic building representing American military power. Furthermore, the attacks were often pictured as a symbol for an era of war and terrorism. On August 29, 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast of the United States. This hurricane was one of the most destructive and the one that caused the most fatalities in the U.S. It is a hurricane that has caused the most economic damage. Katrina is the 6th most intense hurricane recorded in the Atlantic. At least 1,800 people died due to the hurricane itself or the subsequent floods.
The Great Recession in the United States was a severe financial crisis combined with a deep recession. While the recession officially lasted from December 2007 to June 2009, it took several years for the economy to recover to pre-crisis levels of employment and output. This slow recovery was due in part to households and financial institutions paying off debts accumulated in the years preceding the crisis.
I want this one. No, I want that one.
We can't afford it.
Why?
Because we lost all our money in this Great Recession.
No.
The nuclear deal between the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, including the United States plus Germany and Iran, places limits on the amount of uranium and plutonium, the materials used to create an atomic weapon Iranians can have and manufacture. In 2018, President Donald Trump said that the U.S. will withdraw from the nuclear deal. He said that he will not renew sanctions waivers that are part of the deal, effectively ending U.S. involvement in the accord. He also said that he will impose new sanctions on Iran.
Everyone's happy, right?
And CNN can now project that Barack Obama is projected to be the next president.
The first black man to go to the White House, the 44th president of the United States, Barack Obama.
This is our moment. This is our time to put our people back to work and open doors of opportunity for our kids, to restore prosperity and promote the cause of peace, to reclaim the American dream and reaffirm that fundamental truth that out of many we are one, that while we breathe, we hope, and where we are met with cynicism and doubt and those who tell us that we can't, we will respond with that timeless creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can. Thank you.
The use of technology has risen immensely over the past decade. The youth has especially been affected by this movement. Kids aged 8 to 18 spend an average of 7 hours a day looking at technology. The AHA, American Heart Association, recommends parents to limit kids' screen time to just 2 hours a day. For kids aged 2 to 5, the recommended time is 1 hour. Hi, Nick. Hi, Nick. Dinner's ready. Hi, Nick. Come now.
Hello guys, today we're going to make a vlog. Hello, we're going to teach you how to play basketball. Okay.
But first, let me take a selfie.
On December 3rd, 1996, a state court ruling makes Hawaii the first state to recognize that gay and lesbian couples are entitled to the same privileges as heterosexual married couples. The ruling is stayed and appealed the following day. February 12 through March 11, 2004. Nearly 4,000 same-sex couples get marriage licenses in San Francisco, but the California Supreme Court eventually ordered San Francisco to stop issuing marriage licenses. The nearly 4,000 sanctioned marriages are later nullified by the California Supreme Court. June 26, 2015. The Supreme Court rules that same-sex couples can be married nationwide. In the 5-4 ruling, Justice Anthony Kennedy wrote for the majority with the 4 liberal justices. Each of the 4 conservative justices wrote their own dissent.
Nearly 5 million illegal new immigrants settled in the country from 2000 to 2010, making it the highest decade of immigration in American history. Immigrants come for many reasons, such as a desire to join relatives or to access public services. As a result, immigration remains high, even during a prolonged period of economic weakness.
Alyssa Aladef, Martin Duque Anguiano, Nicholas Doret, Aaron Feiss, Jamie Gutenberg, Christopher Hickson, Luke Hoyer, Cara Loughran, Gina Montalto, Joaquin Oliver, Elena Petty, Meadow Pollack, Elena Ramsey, Alex Schachter, Carmen Schentrop, Peter Wing. These were all victims of the Parkland shooting.
Hello guys, so today we have a new blog. We're going to talk about the difference in 2000 and 2010. In the 2000s, young people watched television for news.
Whereas now, young people read Twitter for news, and this has led to the crisis of fake news and misinformation.
The 80s, nostalgia revival was in full swing.
Whereas now, the 90s revival is in full swing.
Reality TV was its height.
At its height.
Height. No.
At its height.
Okay, pero voy a hacerlo corto. Reality TV was its height.
At its height.
Reality TV was at its height.
Whereas now, Instagram models and YouTube stars have replaced reality TV stars, although it's absolutely possible for a reality star to cross over into the social media scene and get influenced that way.
Athletic wear became as acceptable as everyday wear.
And now it still is.
The majority of music artists had established rappers and pop superstars that belonged to major records companies like Britney Spears or Kanye West.
Now, in the 2010s decade, much of music is made on GarageBand and put online. The need for big music producers has decreased. Also, EDM and trap have taken over the music industry, and every artist has some influence over this.
Most people own flip phones or Nokia.
Whereas now, most people own iPhones or Samsungs.
Most people used MySpace and Facebook, and the idea of a YouTube star had yet to fully realize its potential.
Whereas now, Facebook is still around, but Twitter and Instagram have become more important for young people as it thrives on ingesting small bits of information.
Now, let's talk about global warming. Throughout its long history, Earth has warmed and cooled time and again. The climate change when the planet receives more or less sunlight due to the subtle shift in its orbit as the atmosphere of our surface change, or when the sun's energy varies.
But in the past century, another force has started to influence Earth's climate: humanity. Global warming in both decades was and has been a lot more toxic. Earth has experienced climate change in the past without help from humanity, but the current climatic warming is occurring much more rapidly than past warming events. Economically, there's a huge difference between America in the 2000s and 2010s. In 2000, the tech bubble popped, and in 2008, the housing bubble followed. Each of these asset price crashes represented $6.2 trillion of financial wealth vanishing into thin air. That means each was larger as a percentage of U.S. gross domestic product than the stock market crash that touched off the Great Depression. In the space of a decade, we had the 2 biggest financial crashes in U.S. history. The recession that followed the 2000 crash wasn't particularly severe, but was a jobless recovery. And during the entire Bush administration, Real median household income never came back to its peak in the late 1990s. But that recession was nothing compared with the financial crisis of 2008. The Great Recession was the worst thing to hit our economy since the Great Depression. U.S. GDP fell outright by 3.9%. Household wealth plummeted by about half, and wages nosedived. Unemployment soared to 10%, and by broader measures, much higher than that. An entire generation was scarred. Budget deficits ballooned as the government lost tax revenue, even as it struggled to pump money into the flagging economy. At the same time, of course, rapid growth in developing countries and dwindling supplies of crude oil pushed commodity prices to levels they hadn't touched in decades. Gasoline went from a little more than $1 a gallon at the start of the decade to $4. In economic terms, the 2000s weren't as bad as the 1930s, but they were worse than anything else in the 20th century, including the much derided 1970s. In April of 2019, 263,000 jobs were added, which is very beneficial to America's economy. The economy as of now is better than it has been in a long time.
Some major political events in the 2000s included the contested presidential election between George Bush and Al Gore, the attack on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon on September 11, the beginning of the disastrous Iraq War based on false intelligence and incompetent management, Hurricane Katrina, and the inauguration of Barack Obama, among others. Some of these events were tragic, while others created hope for many Americans. Within the last decades, political and social movements have changed a lot. In the 2000s, many tragic events occurred, and we can see in the 2010s the effects of these events and what was done to make a change. The most defining social movement of the 2010s include the Women's March, the March for Life, the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, the push for gay marriage, legalization of marijuana, and more. One of these has been extremely significant, has been the feminist movement. This movement refers to a series of political campaigns for reforms on issues such as reproductive rights, domestic violence, maternity leave, equal pay, women's suffrage, sexual harassment, and sexual violence, all of which fall under the label of feminism and the feminist movement. A problem in America's politics today that wasn't nearly as bad in the 2000s is the extreme division between parties. The nation has become divided along political and ideological lines: Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, red, blue, etc., and is divided on nearly every issue other than division itself. Hopefully, this will be changed in the decade to come.